Nation of Fit in 10, it is day 37 of the challenge, and I just recently put up the link, the Calendly link for you to book your third body analysis scan. So if you go to Slack and you look at the Fit in 10 channel there, you'll see the link. It's pretty simple. It's just www.calendly. So rather than calendar, it's Calendly. So calendly.com/train-on-main. Okay, that's all it is. www.calendly.com/train-on-main. You can book your next scan. Okay, your next body analysis scan. This is your third one. Coming up here at the end of week 6. Okay. What else did I want to say? Oh yeah, your numbers. Listen, I sent you new numbers yesterday, only they weren't your new numbers, they were your numbers from last week. So my apologies on that. Most numbers changed for everybody, or I should say for the numbers changed for almost everybody. And so listen, because I already got an email about this, if you notice that your protein is down, I think I mentioned this yesterday, but if you notice like your protein is down, and that's maybe something that you think you shouldn't expect, which you shouldn't, this is just a rounding thing. Okay, it's a rounding error. So you'll notice that the number is very close to what it was last week. So maybe it was like, 115 grams, last week, and then this week it's 114 grams. It's just a rounding. It's just a rounding thing with Excel. Okay, so please don't be concerned with that. All right. Okay, more of your feedback here. So I think yesterday I answered eating larger volumes in the morning. I find it always. I read this one last. I answered this one yesterday. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Name something specific you need help with. Hormones. And then she's yelling hormones, I'm assuming, because it's got lots of exclamation marks. I become an eating monster and crave sugar and salt like crazy when I'm hitting my cycle. Basic whole foods sounds great, but doesn't always satisfy me. What, if anything, can you suggest to help me feel satisfied at certain times of the month? Cravings make me feel stressed. I don't need more stress in my world. Okay, well, all right, I don't want to sound like a dick here, but this is clearly a first world problem. Granted, I don't understand what this feels like because of my sex. I don't have this problem, but or I don't go through this. I just call it a problem. I'm assuming it's a problem, right? But I don't go through this. But I have had serious cravings in my life. This is something where you have to really look for the foods or things that you do enjoy that will complement your diet. I mean, that's just the easy way around it, or the easy way around it. It's not the easy way around it. It's the simplest thing I can possibly suggest. For me, I do have a sweet tooth, and so I have my go-tos that I like. So I go for I think you probably know by now. I love my iso bars. I love my smoothies. I love my breakfast that I make in the morning. These are all sweet foods that I can go towards, that give me that, at least that they help quell the craving of my sweet tooth. And this is just something that I would have to suggest for you. I know that probably you feel like things like, chips and probably other, really sugar-dense foods. Again, this is, I can't say how hard this is for you, but you really have to look for the foods that you can fit in that are going to work for you. I realize I'm not really giving you a good answer here, but something else I want to say here, and I don't want to seem inflammatory by any means, but you mentioned that you don't need more stress in your world, and so it makes me. It sounds to me like, maybe I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you maybe have a lot of stress in your world already, and because you're writing, you don't need more of it, and maybe I guess my question to you would be: is how much of that stress is self created? right? How much of the stress is self-created? And be honest with yourself. Is there any stress that you are encountering that you could potentially change, right? Maybe it's even just the way that you choose to see things, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not in your world, so I can't say. But you know, there is certain stress. I know with myself, there is stress that I encounter that I've created for myself, for sure. And so you really have to ask yourself, what is completely out of my control, and what is actually within my control, and I can change and I can make the situation better, right? So try to step back and take a look at that. When it comes to cravings and stress, so this person wrote, cravings make me feel stressed. You know, usually it's stress that bring on the cravings, and there's actually a mechanism for this. So what happens is when you're stressed, your body raises a hormone called cortisol, and this actually helps to raise blood glucose levels. And but for cortisol to be produced, it needs an underlying amino acid called tryptophan, and this is the same amino acid that competes. This is the same amino acid that's needed for another neurotransmitter called serotonin, which makes us feel good. Okay, and the easiest way to lower to prevent the production of cortisol, which happens when you're stressed, is to get an insulin response. How do we get an insulin response? How do we drive insulin up? By eating sugar. That's the way we get insulin up, by eating sugar. So carbohydrates, very fast-acting carbohydrates, sugar. So if you raise insulin by eating sugar, then cortisol goes right down. Cortisol does not need to be produced anymore because blood sugar levels going up. We don't need cortisol to do that anymore, right? And then you've got more tryptophan for serotonin. You feel better. So, you know, this could be what's happening when you feel stressed. This is at least one of the mechanisms that happens, or one of the known mechanisms that I know of that happens when somebody's feeling stressed. But again, I would try to go for the foods that you really, really enjoy. And I realize that with real whole foods, you might just think, well, these are just utterly boring and don't taste good. But you know, this is really a first world problem, and I'm sure you would admit that yourself. But again, try to go for those foods that are going to serve you better for your health, and this is why you're doing this, right? That you will also enjoy. And yeah, I mean, this is an interesting question, because your question before this says you struggle to eat. Feels like you're eating all day. So I feel like this is, maybe it's not entirely, but it feels like it's almost like the opposite. It's almost like the opposite problem of what you're having from the question above. Not entirely, I guess. I guess you're talking about sugar and salt here, but I guess what I'm saying is, if you're full, right, you're definitely not going to feel like eating as much, right? Which is another question, right, for all of you out there. How many times do you feel like eating and you're not actually hungry, right? How many times do you feel like eating but you're actually not hungry? So ask yourself, are you actually hungry? Like, is your stomach feel like it's hollow? You know, do you feel like you're gonna, faint? Are you like actually truly hungry, or do you feel like eating? Because those are two separate things, right? So when it comes to salt, I mean, just have extra salt. Go for it. You're craving sugar and salt, just add some salt in to your, I add salt into, I add purposely, beyond adding salt to my food, I add it into my water, okay, first thing in the morning and later in the day as well. So, okay, I don't know if that's any help to you, but hopefully it is. All right, I'm already at 9 minutes, really, and I only answered one question. So much to say, so little time. Let's get the message of the day. Okay, day 37, message of the day. This is, I guess, I feel like I want to use a message that's better than this one. It's a good one, though. It's actually one of my favorites. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to stick with it, I guess. I feel like there would be a better one that would go more in line with today's question. Anyways, Message of the day goes like this. Do you want to know the difference between a master, and a beginner? Do you want to know the difference between a master and a beginner? The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Okay, so just remember this. If you ever so happen to look at somebody else and think, how did they do it, or how do they, it's probably just because that other person tried and tried and tried and tried. More often than not, that is the case, okay? So say it one more time. Do you want to know the difference between a master and a beginner? The master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. Keep trying. Even if you, as we talked about yesterday, even if you slip up, just keep moving forward. Put yesterday behind you and move forward. Do not harp on it. Do not think that yesterday holds you back, because it doesn't. You always have the choice, right, to turn things around at any moment in time, and go in a direction that's going to help you more, right? All right, positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.